Hello, I am Barendipitous, and today it is finally time to analyze the lore and the trailer for, for Legend number 68, Rupture. So, of course, as you may have seen in some of my previous videos, there was a little more than usual, higher than usual speculation about Rupture and about Legend number 68 ever since it was revealed at BCX 2025 that the new legend would have Lance and Katars, because that's what Stalker had. There's Lance Star Champion stuff, and the teaser trailer showed a bunch of Darkheart and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, today, finally, Rupture has released, and I'm sure you're having a lot of fun with, playing as him or avoiding him. I don't know. But today we're going to focus on the lore, and also the lore that how it connects with the trailer as well. So, without further ado, here, if I can, there we go. Okay, perfect. So here is the lore, an image of the lore that able to get here. So, Rupture. I'm just going to read this, and then I'm going to go over everything. Well, so if you can't quite read this, you'll be able to read this in the game itself, and also at brawlhalla.com/legends/Rupture. So here we go. Rupture. The Nemesis. We do what we must for the protection of the people. However, I did think it was a bit much when he ripped the head off Dr. Diabolical's robotic kaiju. Statement given by Golden Goshhawk for the Shinsekai Scoop.
Let the power consume you. Become your ultimate form.
Like I would ever let myself turn into that. Ew. Rupture and a disgusted Petra. As the story goes. During his pilot days, the Emerald Eagle was hailed as a great warrior. But as the might of the Raptor Force grew, so too did his taste for power. When the Darkheart invasion brought destruction, he saw an opportunity. Swapping his mech's core for one made of brilliant magenta, he believed its strength would earn him a spot at the top. When Dyson realized that what Eagle's mech was becoming, he exiled him immediately. Fueled by spite, Eagle swore to become the most ferocious being Red Raptor had ever faced. He consumed his own mech's core, and the beast known as Rupture was born. As a hulking monster, Rupture delighted in no longer having to worry about media training, press statements, or the protection of civilian lives. He unearthed entire buildings to crush his foes with, led rampages across Shinsekai, and burrowed down to the planet's core for the occasional spa day. When Rupture learned that his prey had fallen at the hands of someone else, every mech team from the Starlight Saviors to the Platinum Platypus was called to neutralize the walking calamity that was the being formerly known as Emerald Eagle. Rupture stalks the halls of Valhalla, biding his time for the perfect moment to face Red Raptor head-on. Having bitten and clawed his way in, many think of him as nothing more than a mindless beast. Olgrim and Isaiah have prepared a set of Fenrir's backup chains, just in case. So a lot of cool things to unpack there. I will address this right away. Like, obviously, it was always a possibility that, with all the fan theories circling around, that the next legend would end up being absolutely none of them. And that was also kind of the case here as well. The only thing that really happened was, of course, the connection with Red Raptor, and we got that from a teaser, the very short teaser that the developers sent with Red Raptor's red symbol turning upside down to be the green symbol. So anyway, I'm going to start from the top and kind of go down here. So, first of all, the nickname, the Nemesis. So Nemesis of Red Raptor, I would assume, but yeah. So we see a quote from Golden Goshhawk, which is pretty cool. Little message here. Yeah. Golden Goshhawk is one of the members of Red Raptor's Raptor Force. So if you look at Red Raptor's lore, which I do have right here, you can just, again, go to brawlhalla.com/legends/red-raptor. The space has a hyphen in it. Or just go to Meet the Legends and go to Red Raptor's lore. You'll see all of it right here. And all of so the whole raptor force is named here: Golden Goshawk, Silver Harrier, Black Buzzard, and Blue Osprey, as well as, of course, Red Raptor. I'll also note that in Red Raptor's lore, we see Red Raptor's name is Dyson Doro. So when you hear the name Dyson, that's referring to Red Raptor himself. And Shinsekai is the home planet. This is the planet that all of this is taking place on. Okay. So anyway, so this is Golden Goshawk speaking to a journalist from the Shinsekai Scoop, basically talking about Rupture, or Emerald Eagle in this case, because in each Legends lore you always start with, at least at this point, they've always started with a quote about the legend from somebody else, and then a quote by the legend, or an interaction involving the legend. So the quote about the legend, about Rupture / Emerald Eagle, let's say, Golden Goshawk is kind of talking about how basically Emerald Eagle is a little bit much. He's a bit power hungry. Like already, like they're the signs of like being power hungry and wanted to, rise to the top of like mech pilots and things like that was kind of already there. He's a bit intense, right? And then, of course, you have the quote that involves Rupture is Rupture talking with Petra. This makes a lot of sense because Rupture and Petra at this point are the only legends who have had direct, who are actually have direct contact on a regular basis with Darkheart. I suppose you could count Loki a little bit, but Loki is a bit of a special case. Anyway, Petra, when you think of Darkheart, apart from Loki and Terminus and all of that, you think of Petra and now Rupture. Petra only like her arm is corrupted, but she has not let it go further than that. And she's pretty much the only like mortal or human to have ever done that. Whereas with Rupture, he welcomed all of that power, kind of like how Mordex did with all the other facts he gathered. But clearly, Petra does not like the idea of letting the power consume her. And maybe surely she likes being powerful, and she certainly is powerful, but clearly she doesn't like the idea of turning into a monster. And we had Darkheart skins before. There was Fallen Raptor, Darkheart Artemis, Darkheart Zariel. That kind of gave us this idea that Darkheart, Darkheart corrupts you, head to toe and everything. But this is the first time, with Rupture's release, the first time we have an actual, like, official, like, playable legend, not a skin, but a legend that shows what that looks like, essentially. So anyway, that's a very fun interaction. I love that. It's fantastic. Love that the devs put that in there. All right, so in the first paragraph, so it says, during his pilot day, so Emerald Eagle, we don't have the actual name for Emerald Eagle, but the actual birth name for Emerald Eagle, but the sort of the pilot name is Emerald Eagle. Now, when I first saw the name Emerald Eagle on the teaser trailer, the reveal trailer, I should say, I thought that was, I was thinking of like the Green Ranger, like a Green Ranger type of situation. We have like the 5 main members and then a 6th member that comes in and helps out, right? But then I was confused by the nickname Nemesis and the fact that Rupture, something happened to Rupture, right? So anyway, so I think I think there's a little bit of inspiration there, but also, I mean, the whole Green Ranger, White Ranger kind of thing, the extra Ranger or extra Sentai Warrior, that's already been embodied in one of Red Raptor's skins called Emerald Raptor. So I would imagine, and this is brawlhalla.wiki.gg, and you can see, of course, the Emerald Raptor skin. This has been around for a while, right? Store description: mighty armor only worn by the greatest warriors. Now, of course, this because Rupture was probably developed way after this Emerald Ranger skin was like already around. We don't see the that glowing green symbol on the Emerald Ranger skin. I think that's fine, whatever. But this skin was clearly inspired by Green Ranger type thing. Olive stompers for the boots, because olive is a type of green. Dragon's heart was certainly interesting, and certainly the orb that Red Raptor uses is the Garuda core. Garuda being the name of his mech, right? And I already read in Rupture's lore how he basically turned his own mech core into one of Darkheart, Brilliant Magenta, and then he consumed that core. But also, as was pointed out when I was talking lore with with one of the devs who let me see this lore here. Pointed out that I did not discover this, but pointed out this line here in Red Raptor's lore. Red Raptor and the Raptor Force took down Tokage, the dragon kaiju with the homing missile, and along with other kaiju, right? But so that's a dragon, and dragon's heart. It might not be a literal dragon's heart, but if like that seems to be like a mech core, right? Maybe the Emerald Eagle took as sort of a theory, I suppose. Here's my theorizing cap. The Emerald Eagle could have taken the heart of that dragon that they defeated and tried to empower his mech in some way. So, hence the dragon's heart orb. Anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. Moving on. Emerald Eagle is this great pilot, but as the might of Raptor Force grew, so too did Emerald Eagle's taste for power. So when the Darkheart invasion brought destruction to all the Darkheart kaiju coming in, when that happened, he saw an opportunity. Again, reminding me very much of the way Mordex saw, monster attacking. So here, Emerald Eagle swapped his mech's core. Maybe it could have been an anti-Darkheart core, or unless the one in Garuda was special, but took out his own mech's core for one of brilliant magenta, which of course is Darkheart. Darkheart is magenta colored. As we see, there's some Darkheart props and everything, but from Autumn Championship like 2022 or something, 2023, if that was it. Anyway, brilliant magenta. So yeah, imagine. I'm all over the place. Sorry, sort of resetting my mind for a moment. This is just such an anime plotline. I mean that an anime plotline. I mean that in a good way, honestly. This is such a Red Raptor's lore definitely leaned into the tropes and tragedy of Sentai narratives and maybe a little bit of that, maybe a little bit like mech anime and manga and stuff. And you see even more of that here, where you have a skilled mech pilot who wants to become stronger, and he uses the power of the enemy to turn his mech into a Darkheart mech, essentially. Yeah, gosh, I would love to see this anime or manga or something. This is just so cool. So, Emerald Eagle believed that this extra strength from the Darkheart would earn him a spot at the top, either the top of the Raptor Force or maybe just mech pilots in general. I'm not sure. Maybe the Raptor Force, because Raptor Force are all named after birds. But when Daisen, Red Raptor, realized what Eagle's mech was becoming, he exiled him immediately. Like, you're out. We do not allow that. We don't tolerate that and everything. So, obviously, that was the beginning. As the kids say, that was the start of Emerald Eagle's origin story. Fueled by spite, he wanted to basically become Red Raptor's nemesis, the most ferocious thing Red Raptor ever faced. So, just like Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom, swallowed the rock and became the beast Rupture. So as a hulking monster, he just I do like this line. Rupture delighted in no longer having to worry about media training, press statements, or the protection of civilian lives. So I think especially if you've watched movies like The Incredibles or something, where movies that really highlight the sort of public relations side of being like a superhero or something like that. I guess Pacific Rim does a lot of stories do that. But that's definitely something you would have to deal with if you were like a superhero or something similar, right? You would have to deal with the press, like the first quote. You'd have to get trained on how to talk to the press. And obviously you'd have to worry about the safety of the people you're apparently trying to protect and save. But no, yeah, Rupture just becomes this. It just destroys buildings, just rampages across, I guess, the planet. Planet's core for occasional spa day. Clearly, the Darkheart, gives him enough survival. Assuming the core of Shinsekai is similar to our Earth, magma core and everything like that. This goes to show how powerful Rupture truly is. So then it says Rupture, when he learned that his prey had fallen at the hand of someone else, then every mech team had to neutralize him because I guess he was so angry, I'm guessing. But yeah, so his prey, I'm assuming that would be Red Raptor, right? that his prey had fallen at the hands of someone else. So I guess this Darkheart invasion like had been going on for a little while, because they talked about the Darkheart invasion earlier. When it brought destruction, he saw an opportunity. So, and we know that Red Raptor was destroyed by like he fell in battle against Darkheart kaiju, but then of course chose to go to Valhalla. So when Rupture, I guess, learned the Red Raptor was just gone, I guess he was so angry that all of these other it talks about other mech pilots, other mech teams. So this goes to show that, you know what, I think Shinsekai, like right now, Shinsekai, like theorizing here, Shinsekai is probably just basically Sentai the planet, essentially, the Sentai planet. If you want a Sentai story, put it on, or a mech story like Evangelion or Gundam or something, have it take place in Shinsekai, because we got Raptor Force with like even a defiant member, doing his own thing. We have the Starlight Saviors. I wonder if that might be maybe a little reference to the Starlight Magi or whatever from Battle Pass 10. I don't know. The Platinum Platypus is definitely my favorite. I'm a big fan of Phineas and Ferb, and so you got Perry the Platypus in there when he goes out and goes against Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I would love to see Starlight Saviors and Platinum Platypus, like mechs and or pilots or something like that. There's some fan art potential there. If you want an exercise in, if any of you artists want an exercise in character design, but you don't have an idea, here's some ideas for you right here. Starlight Saviors, Platinum Platypus, maybe even your own take on Emerald Eagle and what his mech would look like, and so forth. And then finally we have the final paragraph, which is pretty much which is generally, like almost always, the now that they're in Valhalla, which is one of my favorite parts of the lore, because this is where you get some of the interactions and where kind of get a sense for where they are where they stand in the Valhalla community of legends, right? So of course he knows that Red Raptor is there, and so Rupture is just kind of like waiting for his time to battle Red Raptor head on. So anytime that you go against a Rupture, that you see a Rupture Red Raptor matchup, that is definitely another rivalry, just like Orion and Artemis, just like Diana and Mordex, just like Chell and Tezca, or Nyx and Nye, so many others, right? It is interesting. It says that Rupture had bitten and clawed his way in to Valhalla. So I guess he just didn't die, which I guess kind of makes sense if he can't. He didn't die in battle. If you used a planet magma, like planet's core, for an occasional spa day, I guess he proved to be pretty indestructible. And I guess when he learned the Red Raptor was in Valhalla, what else would he do after throwing a fit on Shinsekai, a destructive fit in Shinsekai, then go out to Valhalla, right? Looks like he is seen by most as just a mindless beast. Clearly he hasn't leveled all of Valhalla. I guess Odin wouldn't allow him to do that. But I do like that Olgrim and Isaiah have prepared a set of Fenrir's backup chains just in case. A lot of you probably know who Fenrir is, but in case you don't, Fenrir is one of, in classic Norse mythology, not in Brawlhalla lore, but in classic Norse mythology, Fenrir is, I believe, one of Loki's children, Loki's monster children, essentially, and Fenrir is part of Ragnarok, the part of the end of the world in classic Norse mythology. So Fenrir is chained up. The part of the Ragnarok prophecy is that Fenrir will break his chains and go out and fight a particular deity in the Norse pantheon and everything in Valhalla. So Olgrim, it says Olgrim and Isaiah. So Olgrim is probably the one who would have access to those chains, because he was likely one of the dwarves that helped forge them, right? And then Isaiah is, because of his Order of the Exalted Lion or Office of Emergency Logistics experience, has had experience containing monsters. And as we'll see in the reveal trailer, I'm going to go over the reveal trailer bit by bit to kind of show how it sort of ties into this lore. Isaiah clearly was part of this Team Odin crew that kind of investigated or dealt with Rupture. Now, speaking of that, moving on to this reveal trailer here, I'll just play it once, just so to kind of refresh our memory here.
Odin Actual, are you copying this? Roger that, Odin Squad. What was that? Quiet, keep it tight. Isaiah, move up. Contact!
You've seen this already, definitely. So we start with what's cool is that we start with this. Basically, this is a videotape playing, and this videotape seems to be part of. This is an incident report with the Office of Emergency Logistics, and it's classified. And you can see that, of course, there is a lion on there because basically the Office of Emergency Logistics is a modern iteration of the Order of the Exalted Lion, and this is what Isaiah is part of, right? It is a bit odd because this is, at least in the lore, like this is shown in Isaiah's lore, the Office of Emergency Logistics is like this sort of like secret, like special squad of soldiers within the American government, right? And even when Sentinel, Henry Coates, was president of the U.S. in Brawlhalla Lore, even he was unaware of this secret office until like soon after he became president, I guess. But anyway. Oh yeah, and the seal is mostly blue except for the middle, and the blue telephone is like what is used to, I think, to call up the modern OEL essentially. So I know there might be a little bit confusion as to like what is this doing here? If this is about if Isaiah is in Valhalla, because I believe what's happening here personally, again theorizing here, I believe what's happening here is that this is not the OEL on Earth. Because Isaiah's in here, and also the comms will talk about like Odin Actual, meaning like the like Odin team, like Odin's team there on the ground. I think what's happening here is that basically, since Rupture clawed his way into Valhalla, that must mean that maybe Odin sent out a squad of soldiers or warriors to check out what's going on, who is like trying to encroach upon. His domain essentially, and so I imagine that Isaiah would kind of like step into that role of being part of the Office of Emergency Logistics, and kind of create this team and file this report in the way that he did when he was alive on Earth. So I don't think this is an Earth thing. I think this is definitely a Valhalla thing, but just sort of Isaiah doing what he's familiar with essentially. So yeah, incident report, first contact with blank, top secret, contains sensitive information. And then we have the video itself, right? And also very reminiscent of like, FBI, CIA, kind of like, video incident reports and that kind of thing. So moving on. So we get this sort of like VHS tape sort of thing going on. November 22nd, UTC 450 auto, dark heart, elevated signature, and a bunch of numbers here. Which I'm not, and then measurement number. I don't know what all of these mean. November 22nd, probably because this was revealed at BCX, so around that time. And there's a lot of dark heart here. Dark heart elevated signature. And so like I've talked about what was said in this video already. I don't have a whole lot more to add, really, because, again, Rupture's lore doesn't really talk about what happened here. It just says he, clawed his way into Valhalla. So I guess this would be the first contact between Rupture and people living in Valhalla, essentially. So, yeah, we see Rupture there. This is through, like, night vision goggles and everything. Maybe Rupture so there's Darkheart around as well, so not sure where this is exactly. This could be in some like nearby realm by Valhalla or something, like, or by Asgard, and there's just some Darkheart that's been like there's some Darkheart infection here because of Rupture. Who knows? But yep, and there's Rupture kind of like leaping around. I love the smear frames; those are fun. And then there's gonna just be this big, like, he's just gonna jump right in front of the camera in just a moment. Yep, right there. Contact. We have contact. Rupture does look really cool. He looks a really, really cool monster. Oh, I just noticed. So I guess there's almost like a, I guess it's almost like there's like a mechanical component to like his body, where the Qatar, the blade thing actually retracts. So maybe, and I guess like part of his design does look like part like monster flesh, part like pilot suit kind of a thing. So I guess, and the Darkheart just kind of like meshes all of that together. Then of course you see on his chest the upside down green-red raptor logo, which is probably what the actual Emerald Eagle logo was. If that's true, my theory would be that about why it's just Red Raptor's symbol upside down. Maybe Emerald Eagle was trying to do a power move of like taking Red Raptor's symbol and making it his own to kind of again to try to like show him who's boss or something. Anyway, but yeah, moving on. Rupture shows off this Darkheart blade that he's got and everything. And just leaps forward, all glowy and everything. And then we see this file here of a picture of Rupture, clawing his way forward. Rupture, the Nemesis, Emerald Eagle, super dangerous, caution. We have that Red Raptor symbol, or it could be Emerald Eagle symbol. You never know. And Darkheart right there. Not a whole lot more than that, and it just kind of moves on to. Although I am curious about what this thing is up here. It looks like maybe like some clear crystal or something got up there. Not 100% sure. But yeah, and then we move on to the big splash screen with this really cool dynamic like art of Rupture. Man, and that's such a cool name too. But yeah, that's what I make of Rupture's lore and the animated part of his trailer. I don't usually go into I don't usually analyze the any like gameplay and stuff. There's plenty of other YouTubers who do that. So, but yeah, there you go. That's Rupture for you. I love it. Love the lore. As always, I always do. Of course. Am I a little disappointed that it didn't? That this is not Lance Star Champion. That the word stalker is not in there. Yeah, a little bit. But I kind of didn't expect any of those things to happen anyway. So this is what we have, and I think it's great. It added a lot of points of world building to Shinsekai and the people living there and what they had to deal with, and also to it adds more to Red Raptor's story as well. So there's just several things in Brawlhalla Lore that are just like a story that just develops with different legend. The best example is Fangwild, where you have Ember, and then you have Ragnir, and then you have Dusk, and then Arcadia. And with each of those legends, the Fangwild story and kind of more information about the Fangwild developed more and more. And so with Red Raptor, we were introduced to Shinsekai, so we were introduced to Shinsekai, and also that was a development of like Darkheart lore, which we were introduced to with Petra, and then now with Rupture, we have kind of the next chunk of lore related to Shinsekai and a little bit of Darkheart as well. Just all these cool story threads that we're just getting more and more of, and I absolutely love that. It's just so cool to sort of be able to engage in that and just kind of see what else the devs have next up their sleeve for us to talk about and play with as well. And also, again, there's any of you who like to draw mechs, there's more opportunities for potential fan interpretations of characters that we probably won't ever see in Brawlhalla, like the Platinum Platypus, but you can draw them, right? So anyway, yeah, that's what I've got. What do you think about Rupture? What do you think about Rupture's lore? Is there anything you think I've missed? Let me know in the comments on Twitter and Discord, whatever. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, all the best.